Okay, why don't we go ahead? Welcome. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Nicole Schlinger, president here at Campaign HQ, and I'm joined today by Walter Haney, our Chief Operating Officer. Thanks again for joining us. We are so excited to share with you today about issue impact pages, how you can quickly add another very rich, robust layer of grassroots contact with lawmakers on demand to persuade and influence politicians on your issues and ultimately to win your public policy battles, to achieve your goals and advance your ideology, because that's what this is all about. So Walter and I have a few slides to share and some examples, and then we're going to leave plenty of time open for questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll take as many as we can. Again, please put them in the Q&A so that we can see your questions, and then we'll take as many as we can at the end here. And if you'd rather talk specifically about your issue, your situation, how to leverage the power of real people to advance and move your agenda, let's just set up a time to talk. You can call or email us and we'll help you figure it out. And since some of you have already asked, the recording of this event will be available online either later today or tomorrow, and we'll email you out the link when we've got that ready and when it's available. So really quickly about us, this is a throwback to the very first webinar Walter and I did together. And of course, here's us today. We did not plan to wear the exact same outfits we're wearing in our headshots, but that is exactly what happened. So you can see we've continued to grow and adapt, and that's exactly what we want to help you do today. So at Campaign HQ, we're here to help conservatives and liberty-minded organizations win their elections and public policy battles. So we'll help you plan and manage and execute live calls, text messages, telephone town halls, and now issue impact pages too. So you're sharing the right message to persuade and mobilize the right people at the right time, and ultimately to get the results you want, which is to get lawmakers to pay attention and to vote your way on issues, and to avoid wasting time and money on the tactics that don't work and don't move the needle for you. It's perfect timing. Right now, lawmakers are meeting in just about every state in the country. Oops, I'm going to go back. Congress is in session, and debates at the city councils and county level and even school boards are really heating up. And with all that activity, the challenge comes that there's so much noise. And that's really, unless your issue is these lawmakers' pet issue, or maybe you've been friends for years, it's just hard to get them to pay attention, especially when you're sending paid staff to meet with legislators or their staff. I mean, let's face it, no matter how passionate you may be, how sincere you are, no matter how right you are on the issues, these guys know it's your job to lobby them. So what we want to talk about today is how to get leverage. And the most surefire way to do that is to hit these guys where it matters. And that's with their constituents. Look, I've been working on campaigns since 1996, and I see a few of you on here who I've known just about that long. And there's one thing we know, it's that politicians fear losing. It is the thing that they fear the most. And so when they start hearing from constituents, and those messages are coming from them at every angle, by phone and email, at the grocery store, their kids' soccer game, when it's all coming at them at once, that's how you get them to listen. And that's how you get the opportunity to make sure that your voice and your message and your issue is actually heard. So the frustration here is really, how do you create this? On short notice, on a tight budget. In a lot of cases, you might be working on an issue where you don't have hundreds or thousands of activists who happen to live in the exact 5 state Senate districts that matter for your bill. So our mission is to try to make this easy for you, to do all the work, to take it off your plate so you can focus on what you do best and you get the outsized impact and the result that you need to really drive change. The reality is, in the middle of a legislative battle, things are happening fast. You've already got a lot on your plate. You find out 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon that there's a hearing scheduled for Wednesday morning. And you know what? If you're not in the room, you're not in the arena, you're going to miss out. So you don't have time to figure all of this out and fuss around with learning new systems, managing data, figuring out who the right people are, all the details. And that's really, that's where we want to come in and come alongside you. That's what we're here to talk about today, which is issue impact pages. Issue impact pages are a landing page that we can create and personalize for you on a lightning fast turnaround, completely personalized to your brand and issue to generate a large volume of high quality email contacts to any state or federal lawmaker in the country. I've got a quick sample up here. This is an issue that everyone on this team at least is very passionate about, and that's our Chief Canine Officer Waffles and her strong desire to have her birthday named as a national holiday. So you can see there, we've got a picture of her in the background. We've got our logo. We've got a strong call to action. We've got an email, the text of an email, and a way for people to send that to the relevant lawmakers who are going to do that for us. So all the constituent needs to do in this case is just enter their name and their contact info. In most cases, their phone is going to auto-populate that for them. And our system is going to automatically send this email to their state legislators, their governor, their member of Congress, their senator, whoever you tell us needs to hear this message loud and clear. Either vote the right way on this issue or bear the consequences. And maybe you've seen a landing page like this before. You probably have. But up until now, the problem has been the challenge that folks have come to us with is you have to sign up for an extended contract with a software platform. You have to go through a long onboarding process. You have to learn how to use everything, figure out how to set it up, pay for a subscription that, let's face it, you may or may not use, and then figure out how to get in front of exactly the right people in exactly the right districts at the right time. You have to write everything. You have to measure the results, figure out if it's working, make adjustments. And if you're in the heat of a battle, and you're one person, you don't have time for that. And you and I know these issues can come up quickly. And when you need it now. And when you're done, the thing that you want most is not to deal with this for another 12-month-long subscription. You want to be able to get this when you need it. And when it's done, when you've won your issue, when it's time to move on to the next thing, you can move on and you don't have the hassle and the care and the feeding of it. So I'm going to turn it over to Walter to show how it works and how fast and easy it is to help you get exactly the results you want.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. And for those who don't know me, I'm Walter Haney. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Campaign HQ. I am really excited to have an opportunity to share just how fast and easy we can make this for you to achieve some great results on the policy work that you folks are working on. So I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the issue impact page. This one is one that we set up for our friends over at Great Lakes Gun Rights earlier this year. The first thing that I want you to notice is you'll see the page is entirely personalized and branded with their imagery. We start with that background image that's going to display like you see here on a large screen, but it is a responsive page that's mobile optimized, so it will be optimized for display on a telephone as well. The other thing to note is obviously they've got their logo right there at the top. And one thing that I want to mention and to encourage folks who think that they may use an issue impact page in the work that they do, we can also embed YouTube videos into that spot if you have one. So if you've got attention grabbing stuff, we can get movement on the page by embedding that video there. We do obviously have a strong call to action title there at the top to explain what's at stake, then a few words why it matters and how they can help. So we've got that defend my gun rights, really clear what we're trying to accomplish, and then we go into some details about the bill that's being debated and educate the constituent there. Below that, we have a box that has the email that we're going to send on behalf of that constituent to their lawmaker. So that's the message that the person viewing this page can send directly to their lawmaker. And we can make it so that this is editable. So we have a pre-filled form with messaging, and constituents can change it and personalize it as they see fit. Or we can configure it so that it only sends exactly the approved messaging each time for consistency and good message control. So both are options. The voter, right below the email box, you can see the form that the voter fills out. They just put their name and contact information in right there. As Nicole mentioned, in many cases, in most cases, if anyone's ever filled out a form on their phone, that's going to auto-populate as soon as they start typing in their first name or even just tap one of those fields. So it makes it super easy for the advocate to take action. They don't need to worry about who their lawmaker is. We find that from the information that they put in. Now, this landing page we did set up in just a couple of hours. We ended up texting it out to 18,193 different people, and those were folks that we acquired the data. It's modeled data, Second Amendment supporters, and then the Great Lakes Gun Rights team also at the same time emailed 7,264 people that they knew, supporters, donors, that type of thing, and posted the link on their social media. Overall, we ended up driving 7,290 messages into the Michigan legislature. And those messages were sent by 3,164 individual people, 524 of whom were brand new to the organization. So folks that Great Lakes Gun Rights had not had a pre-existing relationship with. Now, with the text messages, we were able to reach a whole new audience that they hadn't been communicating with before. And despite being incredibly supportive of our issue. So, these are new people that they can mobilize to help over and over again, to contact lawmakers, to show up at events, or even to make financial contributions. Now, after an advocate sends the message to their lawmaker on this screen, the next step that they'll see is an opportunity to record a video testimonial. We compile those videos and send them to you, no extra cost. I consider this kind of a perk or icing on the top of the cake of the campaign. So you can decide how you'd like to use those videos. And we're going to watch an example of what that looks like, but I want you to think about the power that you've put in the hands of your paid lobbyists and staff by giving constituents the opportunity to share their personal story in video format. They can bring the power of the grassroots with them into their meetings. Just imagine hearing and seeing one of your constituents, a voter who has the power to say yes or no to whether the lawmaker keeps their job, and the impact that can have if you're talking to a politician who's on the fence or is potentially getting hammered on the other side. So, Nicole, could you play that video now?
My name is Michael Barnes. I'm a first-generation immigrant to the United States of America. I moved to the greatest country in the world to live under the greatest document in the world, the Constitution. Please don't push these gun laws through. They'll do nothing to stop gun violence. Stick to the Constitution. It was the right decision then. It's the right decision now. Thank you.
So the video testimonials, I think, are just a super powerful personal touch that we can add into the issue impact page campaign. Now, last but not least, after the advocates sent their email and recorded a video, if they chose to do so, we can send them to absolutely any web address that you'd like. So in this case, our client set up a donation page. Now, of course, I wouldn't consider this a fundraising campaign. The primary goal was to drive grassroots voters out to, or grassroots constituents to their lawmaker to share their opinion. So it's unlikely that the donations are going to pay for the campaign whole cloth, but we do know that the first time, getting first-time donors is hard today. It's getting harder every day we go. And we all know that the lifetime value of that donor can be 10 times or more of their initial gift. So that's a conversation for another time, but this is an option. You can supplement and collect new donors on the tail end of mobilizing these activists. Now, other good options are simply to drop people back to your homepage so they can learn more about you and your organization and the great work you do. Send them to an event page so they can see an event that's upcoming that they could attend and again remobilize that advocate. Or we can also just set up a simple thank you page to share our gratitude with the constituent for speaking their mind and sharing their opinion with their lawmaker. So the next thing that I'd like to talk about is the reporting. So when you have an issue impact page live, what do you expect to get from us on a reporting standpoint? Well, what you can expect is that every morning a report will be sent from our team to your email inbox. It's going to look something like this on screen. It's going to say how many messages were sent in, the total number of advocates, the source of those messages, lots of good details that we can share there. And you're also going to get a return of the line item data in an easy to use CSV file. So that's going to be ready to upload or import into any CRM or constituent tracking system that you're using. So you're going to see exactly who signed up. You're going to get their name, their address, and their email address. All of that is there and ready for you to save, store, and use in any way necessary to advance your cause. And if you're not sure what to do with the data that's collected here, just let us know and we'd be happy to give you some ideas and share some best practices. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Nicole to talk about how once we've made the issue impact page for you, you can get in front of the right people to advance your cause and win your issue.
Thanks, Walter. Okay, so we've set up your issue impact page, but as you know, I kind of look at it like a tree falling in the forest. Doesn't really count if no one hears it, right? Getting your pages set up is step one. And now we want to really help you get some results and make some noise. So going back to our earlier example with Great Lakes gun rights, email and social media are fantastic ways to get your issue impact page in front of people who are already checked in your ecosystem. They've signed up for your emails, they've liked your Facebook page. In this case, Great Lakes gun rights had emailed 7,264 people on their list up to 5 times in a 2-week period, and they posted it numerous times on their social media page. The good news in that particular instance was they happened to have a very responsive email list. The bad news is most of the people who are on that email list don't live in the exact 5 state Senate districts that were going to make or break this issue. And the reality is that's the case in most organizations, especially if you're working on a coalition that's built for a specific issue, not necessarily a permanent evergreen organization. And many times we're working on a coalition that was purpose-built to either pass or kill a really important piece of legislation. So you just don't necessarily have that kind of an actively engaged, motivated audience. Just in a lot of times, frankly, you're starting from scratch. So should you post it on your social media? Absolutely. Should you email your list? Absolutely. But will that alone do the job? Probably not. So let's talk a little bit about peer-to-peer texting. This is the single best way to get your message in front of the exact right people in your target audience, the people that you select or that we help you select based on specific criteria. Do they live in the right place? Maybe you're doing something on school choice and you really want moms of school-age children. Maybe you want people who happen to be, aligned from a partisan perspective with the representative, or opposed to from a partisan perspective. You want people who are modeled on any number of issues from border security to Second Amendment to freedom, to pro-life. So what you want to know is, based on those specific criteria, texting is the best way to know with almost absolute certainty that if the message was delivered, it was also seen. It was also seen and read. That's texting. Over 90% of delivered texts are read within 30 minutes. Like I said, we can help you choose people based on issue modeling, age, geography, vote history. If you've got a list, send it over to us. We can tell you in just a few minutes for free which of those records are valid cell phones, so you actually know what you're dealing with. When we send that text message, we can send it along with an image or a video. We can use rich text like bold, emojis, italics, underline. We can even help you track who clicked the link, not just how many clicks, but exactly on that list, who clicked that link. And then let's correlate who clicked the link and took the action, who clicked the link and didn't take the action. How do we mobilize those people? We can write the text for you. We can craft the images, and of course, the data management. All the things that if you had all the staff and all the time in the world, we know, in a lot of cases, we know you could do that yourself. But when the timing and the resources dictate, we're here to add to that capacity for you. We know you don't have time to become an expert on yet another system, let alone the constantly changing carrier restrictions and regulations and the registrations that are going on now. As an interesting side note, because we do a lot of these kinds of programs, we spot and notice interesting trends. So on the project we showed you earlier, we tested that very short, somewhat mysterious, incomplete SMS message against an MMS message that included an image and a much more complete message that explained what's the bill, what's at stake, what we need you to do to activate and mobilize. And that little SMS greatly outperformed on clicks and actions. So when in doubt, you might want to consider leaving a little mystery. What we did was we created concern in people's minds that caused them to click and find out more. Leaving a little bit of mystery can really work to your advantage. Then when people find out what's at stake, and they're already when they're already motivated, they're on the right page and ready to take that action. And last but not least, don't forget display ads as part of your mix. This is another way you can still use first-party data, an actual list of the specific human beings you want to see your ad. And you can use the exact same creatives from your texting in the same data. We've worked with our friends over at publicaffairspartners.com. It's a self-serve platform. You can upload your creatives to serve digital ads to the same audience receiving your texts. Or we can coordinate with them and just get the whole thing done for you. Or if you've got your own in-house digital or another firm, we will collaborate with them. We are not a vendor that wants to be in a silo. We want to work with everyone you work with to make this easy, to take the friction out of it. When you're up at the, when you're up at the legislature and you're in a hearing or you're talking to a lawmaker, you don't need to be playing telephone between different vendors who can't talk to each other and get along. We want to make that connection and do that for you. And you can even geofence. So let's say you want an area around a lawmaker's house to see all those ads. Go for it. Let's say there's a town hall meeting or there's a public event and you want everyone streaming into that public event to see ads on your issue. Click and send those emails. Absolutely. Those are some of the really thoughtful, creative ideas when we think about, we don't just want people to see this website. We want to create that surround sound. In many cases, we're trying to help you drive emails to the exact same lawmakers that we're hammering by phone with patch-through calls, or the same audience we're reaching at a large scale with a telephone town hall. So if someone signs that issue impact page, let's call them. If they record a video, reach out to them and ask them to come and testify at a public hearing or come to the legislator's office with you. There is nothing I love more than driving lawmakers and politicians nuts by finding really passionate advocates and moving them up that ladder, up that hierarchy of contacts. Why does a phone call, in general, why does a phone call get more attention than a less synchronous communication? Because you have a human being on the line with another human being with emotion and passion in real time, and there's a conversation. It's sticky, it lasts longer. And the way you can find those advocates is bring them in and move them up that hierarchy. And that's what we love doing for you. So brainstorming the ideas, the creative ideas that can make that happen. So let's talk a little bit about pricing. We're going to make this easy and predictable. We're not going to tell you, we're not going to hide behind some smoke and mirrors and say it costs what it costs, or it costs some large set amount, and you can't see behind the curtain to figure out what on earth are you getting for that $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 of ad spend. Sometimes the reality is you don't exactly know. So the cost is simple, and you pay for what you use. It's $300 per page and $200 per new advocate. Not $200, $2 per new advocate. And by that, what I mean is when someone signs up to send that email, when someone signs up at that page, whether we've got it set to send to their state rep and their state senator and their governor, or just to one target, every person who signs up for you is one advocate, even if they end up sending multiple emails, plus the cost of any texting and data, which we can work on for you separately. And the best news here is you're going to know exactly what you're going to get. We can tailor it to your budget. If you have a budget of X, let's put together what we can get for you that's going to get you the biggest bang for your buck, the most impact, so you know going in exactly what you'll achieve on the back end of that. And once you pay for it, you're done. There's no risk of signing up for a whole year, getting locked into a multi-high 5-figure contract, and then realizing you're not going to use it again. And you only use it once, because that mirage of potential savings really only works if things happen a certain way. The reality is, if we do such a good job for you that your bill passes and you don't need this system anymore, you don't have to pay for it the rest of the year. Great news. And when do things happen as predicted in this crazy world? Not that often. So we've put together a pricing structure that's safe, easy, predictable, manageable, understandable. We can even put together something for you that strategically times your text messages with your patch through calls and some social posts and tweets, and maybe even with your door knocking. So those messages come in when you want them to, right before a public hearing, right before a town hall in the district, right before a vote. Let's think strategically to make an outsized impact, regardless of the size of your team, the size of your budget. So, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. One second, though, before we do, we promised all of you that if you joined the webinar today, that we would have some special limited edition swag. And so I wanted to draw your attention to the Make Politicians Listen logo. We are going to be ordering some new swag so that you can sport your Make Politicians Listen gear and garb whenever you're out in the marketplace. So that's really ultimately what we're all about, is we want to elect people, but we want to hold them accountable, because if we elect them and then we don't hold them accountable, we've all seen bad things happen, and we know that this is the way to victory. So watch your mailbox for some free swag coming soon, and let's open it up for some questions.
First question that I see here, Nicole, and I didn't, let's see. Looks like I don't have a name attached to this question, but that's okay. The first question that I had was, can I put this page on my own website? So the answer to that is yes. The action page, the issue impact page, is fully embeddable. So if you have a web team already that you're driving traffic to that website, and you want it to be there right at home with your events and your donation page and your blog and everything else, this can be embedded into your web page. And so you would coordinate with your client success person on our team, who would work to create the page, get it set up, looking the way that you want it to, and then we can, it's a really simple copy paste operation. So it'll go into any common CMS platform, or if you have a custom web team, they can easily integrate it. So, yeah, that is easy.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And if folks have questions, just drop them in that Q&A over there so we can see them. And please put your name on them. So, although I guess anonymous questions are fine too, but just drop them in the Q&A queue, and we'll answer as many as we can here. What else do we have?
Just looking here. Sorry, bear with me. The next question here was, what if the advocate re-engages? So they send more than one message at a later time after the first one, is how I'm interpreting that.
Mm-hmm. So did you want to take that one, or did you want me?
You can go ahead and take that one.
So from a cost standpoint, essentially you're paying per new advocate. So if someone comes back the next day and enters their same name and their same phone number again and their same email address again, we're not going to charge you a second time for that. That is someone I think you do want to keep an eye on, though, because if they want to engage more than once, that means there's someone who might be interested in a video testimonial. They might be interested in having someone from your team contact them and talk to them about what else they can do. So I think that person is exceptionally valuable. From a cost standpoint, they're also exceptionally valuable, really. So people can engage more than once. If they, let's say it's a married couple and the wife does it one day and the husband does it another day, they will be two different people. And that's also a great thing to have happen.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question I have is, do emails work? And since I think we all know that they get delivered because I get thousands per day, I think the question is really, do they move the needle on the issue? So I think that's a good question for you as well, Nicole.
Yeah, you bet. any one form of constituent mobilization by itself is not as strong as when they come together. And so, the valuable thing about emails is that it's easy for the constituent to take the action, which means that you can generate a large number of them in a relatively short time, as long as you're really smart about how you get that page in front of the right people who'd be inclined to take that action and are going to advance your cause. I think where the question comes in is someone on the other end reading them? And if a large volume of emails that come in that are substantially similar in content, does that make people suspect? The answer to that is, the fact that it is noticeable is by its very nature a good thing. If someone is not getting any contact on a particular bill, they think they can vote any way they want on it. Or if they're getting if they're getting things only from one side and not the other side, they might think there's no one who supports your side of this cause. So generating a large volume of contact is always valuable, because these are real life human beings who do play a role in whether or not this politician gets to keep their job in the next election cycle. So any contact from any constituent has value. Where you absolutely maximize the value is by making that contact come in from a variety of sources. So, the reason that an in-person visit will have more of an impact than, one in-person visit will have more impact than one email, simply because, the value of being in person face-to-face with another human being. It's real time, it's synchronous. You are dealing not just with that person's words, but with their thoughts and their feelings and their emotions, and the way that we as human beings feel the necessity to reciprocate. And so there's so much more that goes into an in-person meeting, which is of course why it has more impact. The reality is you might be able to get 300 emails generated in a couple of days. You're not going to have 300 in-person meetings in a couple of days. So where do you get those amazing, passionate advocates from? In some cases, you can grab them out of that pool of people who sent the emails. But what you find is politicians start to get scared, and they start to really listen to you when the message is coming from all directions, and it's hard to tell how and where and why it's being generated. I hear it at my kids' Little League game. I heard it at my listening post at the coffee shop. Then I got all these emails, and now I'm getting phone calls, and all of those things happening at once. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell the source. And the reality is the source is a grassroots movement. And so emails are a vital part of a grassroots movement.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question I've got is from Daniel, and he asked, are these pages mobile compatible? The answer to that is yes. The pages are developed with best practices on mobile first responsive web design. So when we go through the setup and layout of the page, we're going to take a look at how it appears on all the common screen sizes that you may come across. It's going to be responsive and adjust itself to display well on any screen. But we're going to take a really close look at what does it look like on a phone? What does it look like on a tablet? What does it look like on a desktop computer? And make sure that everything is set up to responsively display best for the platform that it's being viewed on. The next question I've got is from Josie, and she asked, will your team be able to help me generate the content or copy for the web page, or is that all up to me, my team? Nicole, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, you bet. Excuse me. So if you have any existing copy, talking points, collateral, send that to us. We're happy to do all of the work for you. Sometimes it's a matter of adapting your existing language to fit really well into this format onto this page. But sometimes, you know what? If you've got 45 seconds to talk to us as you're running into a meeting, tell us as much as you can, and we will do it for you. We'll send it to you. You can approve it. You can edit it, adjust it, change it. So yes, we can do as much or as little of the work as you'd like us to do.
Awesome. And then for those of you who maybe joined after the beginning of the call when I think this was last mentioned, it's been a while now. So the video will be available online. So a recording of this webinar will be available online. So if you missed anything, or if you want to share it with other members of your team, let us know in the chat if you'd like to specifically receive a copy, and we'll send an email out to everyone that we knew was on the webinar, and especially if you requested the recording, we'll make sure to send you an email with a link as soon as that's up. We expect it to be this afternoon or possibly tomorrow. Okay. Just looking through the Q&A queue here. Let's see, what else might complement an action page to help drive an issue, Nicole?
Yeah, you bet. So I love to see a combination of organic grassroots with, with actions that we drive, or actions that that your organization will drive. Let me give you a really good example of this from an organization we did some work for a couple of years ago. So they, and this was, kind of a full spectrum sort of a program that they ran. So this organization is a state-based organization. And so you're dealing with state legislators, which means the head of the organization, has relatively, relatively good access to legislators. It's not as if we're dealing with members of Congress, United States senators, people that are very heavily padded with staff and hard to get to directly. So this was a state battle. And what she did was she had a couple of meetings with some legislators who were on the fence on her bill, and figured out which of them might, tip off the fence the wrong way, which of them needed some encouragement to go the right way. And so first she started with those meetings. Then we drew a radius around those lawmakers' homes, and we did a robocall to the closest 250 landlines, just saying, your state legislator so-and-so is about to vote the wrong way on such and such a bill. If you happen to see him around, let him know. Well, it was the 250 people who lived the closest to this legislator. So he's out walking his dog, getting hammered about this. Hey, I got this robocall. Then we did the same thing with the closest 250 people with a cell phone and a text. And then the next morning, our organization head got on her own Twitter, got on the organization's Twitter, and started tweeting out the lawmaker's phone number saying, if you care about this, call so-and-so. And so she starts this organic social media tirade. Maybe tirade's not the right word, but she certainly started just a large scale effort on social media, asking people to repost it and retweet it with these lawmakers' phone numbers. And then shortly after that, we started doing patch through calls. Can you imagine? And she was doing at the lawmaker's name, at their chief of staff's name. So she was making sure they saw it. They saw it. And then the phone started ringing because we did patch through calls in those districts. So the night before, they're walking their dog and they're hearing, hey, Joe, why aren't you voting the right way on this? A tweet storm starts, and then all of a sudden they start getting bombarded by phone. Imagine if you do that and you've got emails going at the same time, and all of a sudden then she shows back up the next day with videos from real human beings in that district who care about this issue, holds up her phone and says, I have a voter of yours who wants to tell you something, and plays that video. That's how you make it complement each other.
Those are the kinds of stories that I keep things interesting year after year. I think, we have a lot of tools in our toolkit to accomplish the mission, but it's the creative application of those tools that I think keeps me coming back, and I really appreciate it when people play the game creatively. Mm-hmm. I think that about dries up the questions. If there is any other questions that you have, we do have a couple of more minutes here if you want us to address them. Otherwise, Nicole, is there anything that you wanted to address in closing?
Just so grateful for everyone who showed up today. We are really excited about this. The folks for whom we've been deploying this technique have been really satisfied and really they've seen the benefit from it, and it's very obvious the payoff when you're combining it with your on the ground in-person lobbying, what it can do to really empower your paid staff. So the folks who've been doing it have really loved it. And then I just encourage people, if you have an idea, or you don't have to have a budget and a date. And, if you aren't sure and you just want to brainstorm, just call us. So you don't have to have everything in order before you give us a call. Just call us when you're in the thinking phase of it and we can help.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, should we close out, Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, everyone. And look forward to talking with you soon and helping you win. We'll see ya.